Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Manifest with Tori DeSimone. I'm your host, Tori DeSimone, and if you guys are watching this on YouTube, then you will see that this is an on-the-go episode. I am in my car recording this, and if you guys are listening on just podcast audio, then you will hear that this is an on-the-go episode. I did an on-the-go episode a few episodes back, and it was really well received, which for me is amazing. I'm really happy that you guys liked it. I wasn't sure how it was going to be received, so the fact that it was positively received is awesome, and it allows me to be a bit more creative with this podcast, and that is really fun for me. So, Taylor Swift recently came out with a new album, as we all know. I'm sure we all know, and I wanted to talk about a little bit about the album, sure, but I really wanted to talk about the question that I kept seeing over and over and over again. And it was the question of, how does she have the time? How does she have the time to put out a double album, to tour, to date Travis Kelce, to record all of this, to write all of this? Like, how does she have the time? And to me, the answer is so obvious of how she has the time, but I think it points to a much larger discussion that we can all apply to our own lives, and one that is really beneficial to at least entertaining the idea behind this, and also to adapt this principle into our own lives. I think it's so easy, trust me, it is so easy to get caught up in the quote unquote rat race of life, right? To where we wake up, we go to work or we go to school, and we work towards making a certain amount of money so that we can, do things in life. Like, we need money to live, and that's just the fact of the matter. We need money for rent, or for mortgage payments, or for groceries, or to go on vacations, or to have hobbies, or to do anything. Like, we need money, and we get money through our jobs. And some people look at jobs as a passion, and they want to make money in their passion. Others look at jobs as a means to an end. It's just a way to make money. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, because I really do think it's a spectrum and it can change every day, wherever you fall, I think we can all agree on the simple fact that we need money to live. And when I see things like Taylor putting out a double album, and then people saying, how does she have the time? To me, the answer is so blatantly obvious that I wanted to talk about that today, and how we can directly apply how Taylor Swift has the time, the energy, maybe not I'm not going to touch on the resources, because I have no idea what her resources are other than the best of the best, but how she has the time to put out a double album while touring the world, while being the most famous woman in the world. Whether you love her or you hate her, I know she's controversial for some. I think she's polarizing for most. For me, I love her, and I think she's so incredible. So I'm coming at this from a stance of admiration and love and respect, and I am a huge fan of the Tortured Poets Department. I think it is by far her best album. It's everything I was hoping for and more. I couldn't love it more, honestly. I am beyond obsessed with it. But I wanted to dive about that today, and I'm calling this the Taylor Swift effect, and how you can also use the Taylor Swift effect to your life to maximize your life and your priorities. So, how does she have the time? I kept seeing this throughout friends saying that to me, and when I would talk about the album with them, how does she have the time? And on social media, how does she have the time? The answer is simple, and the answer is she puts time and prioritization into her craft. And that's truly the answer. How does she have time? She simply makes the time. She does not get to be the Taylor Swift we all know and love, or hate for some of you. She does not get to be the Taylor Swift, the most famous woman in the world, by making albums and tours low on her priority list. If you want to be the best in her regards, and again, this is all going to be comparative if you think she's the best or if you think she's not the best, but we can all agree that she's a household name. Everybody knows who Taylor Swift is. You do not get to be a household name by simply putting it lower on the end of your to-do list, right? At the end of your totem pole of what needs to get done that day. It is impossible to be where she's at if you don't carve out the time to write the songs, write the albums, go on tour. It does not happen. You can't create the best albums in the world, be the most famous woman in the world if you don't create the time for it. And I think Taylor does a really great job prioritizing what's important to her, because we've seen a lot of Taylor Swift in the last 1.5 to 2 years because she's been touring. But aside from these 2 years, I want you to think about all the other times that we see Taylor. When she is promoting her albums and on tour, we see a lot of Taylor because she's working. She's promoting her albums. She's out on tour. She is working hard. When she's not doing one of those two things, we do not see Taylor. She does not do anything that she doesn't have to do. She goes to the music awards that promote her album and that are good for her career. She goes to the studio to record, and that's it. Like we when she's not putting out music, we do not see her, and it's because she prioritizes her craft above anything else. So there's two phases of Taylor. There is promotion Taylor when she's on, and that's been Taylor for the last 1.5 years. So when people say, how does she have the time? Sure, it can look like she might not have the time, but in actuality, she's been working this entire time. She's not doing anything else that she doesn't need to be doing, right? Like, the reason that Taylor Swift has the time to write and record these albums is because she's not doing the bullshit day-to-day tasks that us lay people, normal people have to do, like going to the grocery store, or what else do we have to do? Taking meetings, or getting on phone calls, or household chores. Like, she has people to do the chores, the grocery shopping, the stuff like that. So it's hard to account for that when we're comparing a normal person like myself to Taylor Swift, because there's definitely big distinctions and differentiations. Yes, of course. But what we do have in common with Taylor is that if something is important to us, we will prioritize something getting done above all else. So how does she have the time to make a 31-song double album? She makes the time to, because that is what gets her Taylor Swift. That is why she is as famous as she is, because she makes the time for it. I wrote very manically on my phone, all these notes. She is only, so I'm going to kind of read them. She's only as quote unquote crazy as people say that she is. And I even say that she's crazy because she is in the best way possible. But it's because she's so obsessed with her art. And you don't become the best at something without being obsessed with it. Like, her writing these intricate lyrics, telling a story, doesn't just happen by doing it once, right? This has been years and years and years in the making of her creating albums, writing songs, producing songs, performing songs, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, but also she so many times has reinvented her voice and reinvented her sound, and she's been unapologetically herself along the way. And I think that's also really important. But also what I'm getting at is that you don't become the best by, it doesn't happen on a whim, right? This is something that she's put time, money, energy, effort, and priority into for years and years and years. And all of that compound effect over time translates to being the best in your industry, the best in your craft, the best of her ability, because she's always putting in time, prioritization, and energy. I have a whole episode about this, but the best do not get bored of the basics. Taylor Swift does the basics. She writes her songs, she produces her songs, she sings her songs, she performs her songs, she markets her work. That is the basics of doing what she needs to do to be the best. And she is quite literally obsessed with her art and obsessed with her craft, as any good person in the top of their field is. Michael Phelps, I don't know why he came to mind, but he did. He does not get to be the best Olympic swimmer by just trying it on a whim or by making swimming lower on his totem pole every day. When he wakes up, he's waking up to train to swim. When Taylor wakes up, she's waking up to create the best craft that she can. That's their priority. That's their number one. You don't get to just go to the Olympics on a whim. You don't get just to be shot to the best artist in the world on a whim. It takes work and prioritization and being obsessed with your craft. Someone else, influencer-wise, that I really look up to is Nick Bare. He has an incredible company. He's an incredible runner. He has an incredible physique. He has incredible morals. That didn't just happen overnight one day. And what's really cool about Nick Bare is that you can go back on his YouTube channel and look at the beginning of BPN when it was just him in his room. I think he was in South Korea. You can look at him in the beginning of his YouTube channel when he wasn't as built as he is now. You could look at him in the beginning of his YouTube channel when he didn't like running. You can see all of his compound effects happen over time that make him this incredible CEO that he is today, this incredible runner that he is today, this incredible founder, business owner, husband, father. We've seen this journey happen through him over time, and what comes back to it is that every single day he wakes up and makes the choice to run. He wakes up and makes the choice to run his company to the best of his ability. He wakes up and makes the choice of being a great father, being a great husband, whatever it is, and we've seen that documented. And if you watch his vlogs, they're very similar. Every single vlog is pretty much a carbon copy of the last, yet it's still interesting to see. It's always a combination of waking up and running, going to the office, having the same foods, coming home, having family time, cooking dinner, and then he goes to bed. It's the same video that we see over and over and over again, but he prioritizes it to make it so that he is the best at all of his fields. And he is. And that's the thing that Taylor Swift does how does she have the time? She makes the time. You don't just become Taylor Swift. That'd be crazy. That would be like me just waiting and waiting to one day become like an Olympic runner. That doesn't just happen. You have to put in the time and the energy and the work to become the best at something. And that's how Taylor Swift has the time, because she makes the time. It is her priority to put out music. It didn't just happen on a whim. And she dedicates her time to her craft. She doesn't do the bullshit of the industry. She doesn't do the bullshit of the meetings and the calls and the people pleasing. Like, she does quite literally the opposite. We don't see her do the bullshit things of appearances and like press. She doesn't do that stuff. You know, she doesn't do the podcast tours, even though we wish she would. She doesn't do that. The most that she does was go to her boyfriend's football games, and you would have thought she was killing the NFL the way people were responding. Do you get what I'm saying? So what we can take from her putting out this incredible work of art double album, and along with other people like Michael Phelps or Nick Bare or people that are the best in their field, is that if you want something, you have to decide to put in the time. And nobody is ever going to decide to put in the time other than you. If you are waiting for someone to come into your life and sprinkle fairy dust over it and say, okay, now you have the time, that's never going to happen. And I've even been thinking about this too personally, because And I spoke about this in last week's episode, but this is a very busy time of year for me, right? And my mornings are super busy, and you guys know I love my mornings. And as soon as my life gets busy, my personal things start to fall to the wayside. Personal things such as my morning routine and my workouts and how I like to eat, things like that. But it's the busiest times of year that I need the most structure in my life, right? So if I were just to wait, right, for my life to always be at the perfect time, I will never have that morning routine that I want, or the workout routine that I want, or the fitness routine, or the health that I want. It will never happen because life is never perfect. There's never a perfect time to sit down and make a 31-song album. We could argue that sure, it could happen after a breakup, but then I could argue back and say, I can do it with a broken heart. When her and Joe Alwyn broke up, you think she's like wanting to write a 31-song album? No, she probably wants to cry in bed and like not go on the Eras tour every night, but she does because she's being the best at it. She's making the time for it. When I'm really, really busy, do I really want to wake up a few hours earlier to get in a morning routine? No, but do I know that's going to better me in the long run and make me the best I can be? Yes. So it takes carving out the time to find the time in your life. It's not just going to show up on a silver platter. If it is important to you, you will find the time to make it happen. And you then have to be okay with other things not getting done. The reason that we don't see Taylor doing all the bullshit things is because she chooses not to do all the bullshit things, and she has to be okay with not doing all the bullshit things. A few years ago, we saw Justin Bieber really pull back from making music and touring and having meet and greets because it didn't serve him anymore. And he actively chose to step back and step away from that. And now, yes, I still love Justin Bieber, and I still think he's like, a great artist, but he's not at the top of his field like he once was. You have to choose to make the time for it and to be okay making the time for it and to be okay that not everything will then get done after you've made the time, after you've made the decision to prioritize the biggest thing in your life. So to sum this up, and this is a very like off the cuff topic, but it's something that I wanted to talk about. Taylor Swift makes the time for things that are important to her. And we all can agree that you don't just become the best overnight. You have to dedicate time, energy, effort, money, resources, and you have to prioritize. So I want you to sit down with your life and think, what is it really that I want to do in my life that would, in this moment, make me happy? That answer might change, and it should and it can, because you are allowed to evolve and grow and change over time, as we've seen Taylor do throughout so many years of her life, which is admirable and beautiful. And I think what makes it special is that she's authentic, right? She's always authentically showing up. When she first began, she wanted to be country. That was authentic. Then she switched into pop. That was authentic. Then we got this whole Reputation era of like, I'm not pleasing anyone anymore. And then we got Folklore and Evermore and Midnights and TPD. And it's just been this beautiful evolution. But in every album, she's been completely authentic, and that shows through. So what I'm getting at is that right now, what feels authentic to you, what makes you happy, what drives your passion, what would fulfill you, what would make you money? Maybe it's a combination of both. Maybe it's that spectrum end of it's just a means to an end, or you're trying to make money from your passion. Wherever you fall on that spectrum, on that line, ask yourself, what is it that I want to do? And then how can I put time and prioritization to that? And then what's going to inevitably have to fall by the wayside? Because that's just how it is. It's the balance of the imbalance. It's the fact that we want to get everything done because that's comforting, right? But we can't get everything done, and that's okay. And coming to terms with that might be hard and might be unsettling, and it might be not the people pleaser in you to have that narrative, but that's going to have to be okay and uncomfortable to accept, but okay to accept nonetheless. And that's really what it comes down to. So if I were you, this is what I would do. I would sit down and I would write down all of the things that I want to prioritize and begin in my life. And then I would write a weekly agenda of where I time block that. For me, I'm most creative in the morning, and for me, I know where I want to go with my life, so I would always stack those things that I want to do first thing in the morning, and then all the bullshit things would go towards the afternoon, and if they don't get done, they don't get done. So anyway, that's the Taylor Swift effect. How does she have the time? She creates the time. How do you be the best? You put time and energy and prioritization to doing the one thing that you love every single day. That's the Taylor Swift effect. And that's how you become the best in your field and the best in you. Like, you don't even have to be the best in a field. You could just be the best person you want to be, the best mom you want to be. It doesn't have to be a competition. The best version of you dedicates time to you every single day in and day out, to where it's not even a thought anymore. It's just a habit. It's a repetition. It's a pattern, right? And that's where we land. So those are my thoughts. That's the Taylor Swift effect. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this episode of Manifest with Tori DeSimone. I really do like these on-the-go episodes. I find them really fun and really soothing, and it's just really freeing and creative for me, so I enjoy it. And I could talk about Taylor Swift forever. So if you guys want more thoughts on this album, let me know, because I think this album is genius and her best work ever. I'm obsessed and I love it. But thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful Monday. I'll talk to you guys all next Monday. Bye, guys.